Okay, so the video I'm going to do now for you is to show you how to make some simple bread tarts. Now, if you've watched the instruction video, you will see the reasoning for this is to try and use up any bread that we may have left over in the house, because such a huge amount of bread is wasted every day. Now, I'm not going to say the quantity on here because, as I said, it will be explained on it, or it has been explained on the instructional video, which hopefully you have viewed before you are watching this one. So I've got my cheese ready. I'm going to use some Branston pickle in these, so I've got that ready for me to use as well, and I have chopped up some onion. Now, depending on how many tarts you want to make depends on how many slices of bread that you want to have. I'm just going to make 6 here to demonstrate to you. Now, the first thing that you need to do is roll out your bread. Now, I've already got my oven on. I've got my oven on to gas mark 6, which is 200 degrees, and these basically are going to be a bit like mini cheese on toast, but hopefully you'll be a bit more adventurous with what you decide to use. Now, depending on the size of your cutter, you could get 2 out of a slice of bread. I've actually got quite a bit of bread that I'm not proud to admit that needs eating up by today, so I'm just cutting 1 out of there. However, as I said, you could quite easily get 2 out of that if you roll it out thin enough. And then I'm just going to press them into my tin. Now again, okay, being adaptable with what you've got at home if you are able to do any cooking at home. If you don't have a tin that you can use, just actually put them onto a baking tray and do them as a kind of mini pizza if you prefer. Now, if we were in school, we would be making these before our nuggets lesson. I know I gave you the nuggets video before I gave you this one, but in school we would have done it the other way round. We would be doing this practical first, and then any leftover bread we would use to make the breadcrumbs for our nuggets. So if you do think at some point you're going to fancy making nuggets again, or have a go at making nuggets, if you didn't get to do that first time round, you can keep that bread, process it up, and then just keep it in the freezer until you're ready to use it. So I've got my 6 tarts ready here now. I've just made sure that I've pressed them in, but as I said, if you've just got a baking tray, okay, not a problem. I'm just glad if any of you can do any cooking at home at the moment. So I quite like Branston pickle, so I'm going to put a bit of Branston pickle in just 2 of these, because I don't want to have too many with Branston, and possibly my children might have some of these with me, and they don't particularly like Branston pickle. You could use tomato puree, you could use some pesto, you could use tomato sauce, you could use some barbecue sauce. So there's lots of different things that you could put in there. You could put some sweet chili sauce, for example, if you wanted to. Then I'm going to pop some cheese into each of them. So I've just actually grated this cheese up, and I'm just putting the cheese in. As I said, these are really simple and such an easy way to actually use up any leftover bread that you've got in the house. And as I said, if you use tomato puree in particular, they just really are like mini pizzas. Now with this one, these ones, I'm going to sprinkle a bit of onion on the top, but I'm going to do it the other way round. With the other ones, I'm going to pop a little bit of onion in the bottom, so just so you can see the difference in how they turn out. Now again, I love onion, so I'm putting quite a bit of onion in there. You could use some pepper, you could use some fresh tomatoes, you may want to use some ham. So there's lots of different things you could use. If you're going to use something like bacon, I would cook that up prior to putting it into your tarts, because it's not really going to be in the oven for long enough to cook off. Okay, so I've got those ready, and I'm just going to pop those into the oven now, and then I will show you what they're going to look like, obviously, when they are done. So these have been in the oven for just over 5 minutes. Now, there's nothing in here that will make you ill if it's not cooked through properly, because obviously you could have eaten all of those ingredients raw anyway. So it's just really keeping them in until you're happy with how much the cheese is melted and how much the bread is browned off. Just be careful when you're lifting them out of the tin, because obviously it's going to be very hot, and just leave them cool down a little bit before you eat them. I look forward to seeing the variety of tarts that you come up with.